I'm Richard Losi-Reif. I'm one of the Associate Directors for Workforce Development for Goodwill Industries. One of my many duties is to kind of oversee the computer lab. There is not really a computer program. There are projects online that we encourage people to sign up for, and then there is some supervision, but most of it's work at your own speed. What we use primarily is a program called GCF Learn Free, which is a free online program put together by Goodwill Industries of Eastern North Carolina. And they've been updating it yearly. It came out in 2006. It's really quite comprehensive. It has a lot of videos. There is an online instructor, so if you have questions, you can email things in. They also have online classes. But most of it's tutorials. And they start off from the very basics, like what's a keyboard and what's a mouse and what's this thing next to my screen. And then it runs through everything from Microsoft and all the different Office packages, including Excel, Access, but it also does like math skills, English skills, some job-seeking skills. I think that's about it, but it's very comprehensive and it's free. About mid-2005, we realized, probably a bit late, that most of the world was doing a lot of things on the computers, online, virtual classrooms, etc. And we began studying how we might do that and what was being offered in Toledo, and there really wasn't a whole lot that was offered. We know the library has free computers, but there's time limits on that. A lot of the people we serve do not have computer skills and do not have computers of their own, but they need more than a 2-hour stretch to begin to learn how to use those. So many jobs these days, the only way to apply is online. And so we wanted a program, or at least a way to facilitate the clients we serve and other people in the area that they could look for jobs or just gain those skills to get, a promotion at work or more responsibilities at work. And fortunately, the program GCF Learn Free had come out about the same time, and so we hooked up with them. And we've been updating the computers here. Everything's XP. We have one Windows 7 and one Windows Vista. And it works for the most part. There are some weeks where nobody's here, and other weeks where there's 3 or 4 people in here learning different skills. We encourage them typing because it's so vital for computer skills, and we use a program through the BBC. And people just kind of work at their own pace. Ask questions as they need to, but they come in here, they're able to log on through us, or they can create their own free email and log on that way. But it works very nicely. It's free. The computers we get, we are part of a program through Dell Computers called Reconnect, and so people drop off computers for recycling. But we're able to take the ones that work really well, the newer versions, revamp what we need to, and put them to work. And so we've been able to kind of rehash all the computers in the building based on that program. When I first started here, some of these computers were still Windows 95, believe it or not. Okay. Some were 98, and they're all XP or higher. Speed's a little slow for some, but it works, and we've been able to enhance that. And then it's just part of my duties to supervise and answer any questions that I can. Nearly everybody has a disability of some kind, which could be physical, it could be a learning disability, it could be a mental health issue. Some people have more than one. We serve people from an agency called the Bureau for Vocational Rehabilitation, and they have to be severely handicapped or disabled in some fashion, but we also serve workers' comp people. And as they're getting ready to cycle back into the workforce, we may come here either to teach new skills or to see what their skills are. But also, if they've been out of work for 3 or 4 years, they just need to get up out of bed and go to work and get in that practice of socialization and how you deal with people. We also serve the VA, and so we'll get some usually vets who are no longer in the active service but need to be re-equipped or re-skilled to re-enter the workforce. Mixture of black and white. There's not a lot of Hispanic or non-black and white population that we get. Probably more women than men, but not by much. And age, I think for this program, the youngest we've seen is probably early 20s, but the eldest has been in the early 60s. It's online, so you can go on our website, which is goodwillnwohio.com, and find out about the program. You can also, there is a link to get to GCF Learn Free from there, so if you want to do it at home or from somewhere else, you could. But it tells about the program, and you're more than happy to come in off the street. There's still no charge, and we're just happy to provide it for the people we do. The 3 housing facilities near us around the corner are all low income, often disabled individuals, and usually very poor. And so this program hasn't been as utilized as much as we'd like by them, but it's really designed for them to come across the street and get some help, you know, as they're kind of getting back on their feet or trying to find another job. What we find is there are some complaints from the library, mostly from the time restrictions, but there's no one there to really help them. Librarians are busy. And so people who don't have computer skills have lots of questions, and the library has turned out to be not a great place for them to work. If you know your skills, the library's great. The source has some computer time that you can come and use, but again, there's no staff there to ask questions to. And so for people who really need to learn how to use computers, who have lots of questions, this is a really good opportunity for them to do so. My job is to do other things and not to hang out here all day, but if you have questions, I am available. And usually it's showing people how to do it or walking them through the process so they understand it. And once they're on the GCF Learn Free program, they're able to, within a couple weeks, pick up some really good skills. No, not really. We'd like to be busier than it is. We'd love to have either a staff or a full-time volunteer that could be here to answer questions, but it's working. I mean, some weeks are slow, some weeks are busy, but as far as we're concerned, it's doing pretty well. Almost everything is computerized. A lot of people, as I said earlier, if you're applying for a job, you can't do it except online. And partly it's to weed out people. Employers know if you can't handle the computer skills to even apply for the job, then they don't want to talk to you. If you can apply that way, then you've already passed the first hurdle. And so enabling people to learn the skills, but also to apply for jobs here is important because they don't have a recourse to do that otherwise. But there's just the general computer skills. You need to be able to work through Windows in some fashion. So much happens that way, whether it's email at work or just opening and closing a regular document. You don't have to do anything fancy with it. It doesn't have to be difficult. I mean, there's a lot out there that certainly I don't even know. But if you don't have the basic skills, you're probably not going to get a job or not going to get promotion. It's just required. And then there's so much like Facebook, talking with grandchildren if you have those, or if they live out of state. The computer is just the best way to contact people and find out what's going on. And there's so many free opportunities out there, but if you don't have a computer or can't use it, then you don't have the opportunity to engage in those. So people can live more independently and get a greater satisfaction out of their lives. You almost have to have interaction with a computer and the world that the computer opens up for you. There aren't a lot of resources for computer learning for the average individual. GCF is really nice because you can use it wherever you are, but having a place where you can go and have a computer that you can use and someone you can learn, talk to and get some of the answers you need to is important. As I said before, the source and the library are great, but they don't provide that real kind of education that you need. And if you can't afford to take a class, then you need something free that's available. So we're maybe one of two people or agencies in town that even offer something like this. Usually it's through a school, and usually you have to be connected to the school like an alumnus or a student. For the average person, there aren't too many options. We're it. Yeah, for a while we had a lot of kids coming in, older teenagers, and they were going to YouTube and downloading videos and music. And what we ended up doing is we blocked off a lot of sites like that, a lot of the social networking sites. You can't even access them. It did by accident kind of freeze off a lot of other sites, so we've slowly been reopening those on a site-by-site basis. But I'm able to kind of administer what sites people see, and if they want to get on it, I need to know why. We also took out most of the speakers. Because again, people were downloading music, and it's like, this is not what this lab is for. This is to learn and to help you find jobs, not to play around and go to YouTube. So we simply froze that stuff out, and they don't have to do it. They were really upset when we did that, but that's not what this lab is for. Making sure that computers are constantly updated. Things change so fast. It won't be long before XP is obsolete, probably just a couple years, and then everything will have to be either Vista or 7, preferably 7. Touchscreen learning is important too. I mean, all the phones have that, smartphones do, but a lot of places that have a cash register, it's almost always touchscreen operated. And if you don't have computer skills but want to get a job doing that, we don't have a way to teach that just yet. That would be our dream. If someone out there sees this, wants to donate a touchscreen for us, that'd be great. But just making sure we stay on top of the software and some of the hardware, making sure that your speeds are up. That's important, and it's a constant worry for us that the machines we use and the software packages we have are up to date. There are programs on GCF Learn Free that are far more advanced than our systems can handle. You can watch the tutorial of it, but you can't practice some of what they're talking about because we just don't have that software. It's a constant problem for us. We had a gentleman in the end of last year who had never used a computer before, and he spent about a month in the lab working at his own pace, and I watched him from week to week as his skills developed. He learned to type first, and then was able to create a resume, was able to join Facebook and talk to his nieces and nephews and I think grandchildren during that time, but he was able to create a database and learn some of those skills. I don't know what happened to him once he left, unfortunately, but I watched his skills grow. We have a young lady right now, early 20s, who's doing the same thing. She does very little on a computer and didn't really know how to type. So she's been running through the tutorials, learning a lot of computer programs. She was working on Access right now, but has done some Excel data sheets and is learning to type. Her speed went from about 15 words a minute to mid-30s. Still not quite where we'd like it to be for competitive employment, but it's growing. She's getting more practice with it and definitely more competent on the computer.